Okay, guys, time for the Week 4 waiver wire winners. At quarterback, this was another tricky decision. It was between David Garrard, Sean Hill, or Ryan Fitzpatrick. And this week, I got to give the nod to the highest score among quarterbacks this week, David Garrard. Who would have thought? I mean, let's look at what I've said about David Garrard. In the last video, do me a favor, go to my videos and click on the video below this one. Alright? Watch how I just demoralized David Garrard. Well, apparently David Garrard saw that video and wanted to prove me wrong. 17 for 22, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, 44 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown? That's the way to do it. And knocking off the Indianapolis Colts. That's pretty good. So, yeah, I'll give him the nod for the waiver wire winner. Only owned in 22% of fantasy leagues. He might be an interesting prospect going forward. So, yeah, there you go. David Garrard. At running back, this one was really surprising, I must say. Derek Ward, the number 2 running back for the Houston Texans. And he had himself an interesting game. Quietly, I didn't even hear anything about him, but he quietly went for 80 rushes and 80 rushing yards and a touchdown. Now that may have been because Arian Foster went for 131 yards and a touchdown, along with 56 receiving yards and another touchdown. But I digress. I mean, Derek Ward, I hadn't heard anything about him. I thought he was still on the Bucs roster. Oh yeah, that's right. They got rid of him. That's why LeGarrette Blount's been getting so much attention. But Derek Ward did really well. And here's the thing. After the second quarter, he didn't see much action. So he did pretty good early on against the Raiders. Granted, that's pretty easy to do. But still, nicely done with the 80 rushing yards and a touchdown. And he was only owned in 2% of leagues. So I congratulate those 2%. You have chosen wisely. Then we go to wide receiver. This was another tricky one. I could have gone with Brendan Gibson. He's only owned in 0% of fantasy leagues. But then I'd have nobody to congratulate. So I decided to go with Devon Bess, who put up 9 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown against the Patriots. That's a good performance. Here's the thing. I have Brian Hartline on my 20-team league. So that wasn't good. I should have went with Bess, but Hartline's having his moments. Bess is having his moments. Marshall's having a lot of moments. So with the Miami passing game, it's a little bit hard to tell who's going to do what on what week, but oh well. Good job for Devon Bess, owned in 18% of leagues. So moving forward, he might be an interesting guy to pick up. I would look on my if I were you, I'd look on my waiver wire pool and see if Devon Bess was available. Who knows? You might get a good guy. I mean, this guy is known as Miami's Wes Welker. He's going to get a lot of receptions. He might not wow you with touchdowns, but he'll do good in the receptions department this year. I can already tell. And then finally at tight end. This one, I had to go with a guy who had 0% owned because, well, most of the people at the top were among your usual suspects. You know, we got Antonio Gates, Zach Miller, Dustin Keller, Dallas Clark, Joel Dreesen. Wait, what? That's right, Joel Dreesen, the number 2 tight end in Houston. What is it with Houston backups this week and them kicking some ass all over the place? Yeah, well, Joel Dreesen, he did good, I must say. I'm trying to see here, but it looks like I don't even see Owen Daniels among the top 25 this week. He might have been injured. Yeah, Owen Daniels was injured. So Joel Dreesen stepped up, and he stepped up big. 5 receptions, 73 yards, and a TD in Houston's trouncing of Oakland. Well done. I don't know why I must say a lot. But, oh well. Tony Scheffler had a good game too, so could have went with him. Same for Brendan Pettigrew. Both of the Detroit tight ends, I noticed. Benjamin Watson and Evan Moore did good for Cleveland, but in the end, I got to go with Joel Dreesen, owned in 0% of fantasy leagues. You need to catch him next time. He might do good for us again if Owen Daniels doesn't make it to next week's game. So, yep, that is just about it. David Garrard, Derek Ward, Devon Bess, and Joel Dreesen are my waiver wire winners for week 4. I'll see you later. Bye, guys.